You're listening to The Hurt Locker, the podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And tonight's guest is Ben Summers. Ben, welcome to The Hurt Locker.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm really good, really. Just on a wind down for Christmas break. So I break up on Friday, so it's just sort of crawling to the end now.
Okay. Do you enjoy Christmas or?
Yes and no. It was nice. I've got nieces and nephews, and it's obviously amazing for those. But I've got a bit of like PTSD right around Christmas, really, because that's when my dad left. And also I had a friend that died just around the Christmas time as well when I was younger. So there's good and bad about it. So, but I've tried to enjoy it and like I say, get involved with this, like the celebrations of it. But like I say, it's a bit hit and miss. I'm quite happy just to sit at home, but I'm also happy to go and see my niece and nephew because that's the magic of Christmas, isn't it? Like the young kids.
Yeah, I think if I'm to share, I've got a little bit of not bar humbug about Christmas and that, but it's not one of those things that floats my boat. You know, maybe it's my upbringing, Nigerian upbringing and that, and it wasn't really something that we particularly celebrated, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we always try to make an effort, and we had a nice one last year. It was just me, the wife, and my parents and Kerry's parents. It was very chilled, very relaxed. It was quite nice rather than darting about trying to see everyone and trying to cram everything in. It was just a nice relaxed one last year. But we're going to my sisters this year. So there's me, my mum, my stepdad, my sister, her husband, the two kids, and me and my wife. So it'll be a bit more hectic.
Again, for me, I think I don't know. We live in such a consumerist world, but I see everybody dashing about in the city centres and the shops. I mean, I've seen some horrific videos around Leicester Square and that, you know, people jam-packed trying to get into the tube, and it's like, really, for one day? And for one day, in my opinion, finishes at 5 p.m. anyway, so it's all over by then, you know. So I don't know, but yeah.
It's a crazy one. Like there's some nice things, like we're going ice skating on Christmas Eve in Canary Wharf, which is quite nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that's the sort of thing I like about it. It's just like I say, it's the money you spend on it, even though you haven't got it, sometimes you still feel like you have to, and we don't really need anything. So as you get older, you don't really need anything because you're working and stuff, don't you? But people still buy you stuff that is a crazy concept, really.
It is, and getting crazier each and every year.
100%.
So for the benefits of... Sorry, you were going to say?
Yeah, so I was going to just say the kids want more and more and more, don't they? And as parents, you sort of try and provide more and more and more, don't you? Because you don't want them to miss out. So it is a mad time.
It is indeed. So just for the benefits of our listeners and our watchers, who is Ben Summers?
I am Ben Summers. I work in sales in the construction industry. I live with my wife and my stepson. I've got another child up in Leeds at university, become a teacher. I've got lots of nieces and nephews, which is really nice. So I'm Uncle Ben a lot of the time as well. I never get called Ben; it's always Uncle Ben, which is, and one of them calls me Auntie Ben because they've not learned properly yet. So they're really nice. So I'm like the fun uncle that goes a bit mad and a bit crazy with them and gets them told off, kind of thing. So yeah, and I on the side of working in the sales, I also have just started. Well, I say started; it's nearly a year now. Running the Ginger Giggle Club, which is an open mic comedy club, which I absolutely love. And that's led to me doing quiz hosting, bingo hosting, and stuff like that. Really, so it's a fun-packed, busy life. Really, I have.
Cool. Is there a nice balance there between doing the fun stuff of the Ginger Giggle Club?
That's it. Yeah, I'm starting to find it. But the Ginger Giggle Club, because I love it so much, it doesn't feel like work. It's not tiring and stuff like that. So it's just like I say, managing your time and making sure that everyone gets the piece of you that is good, and not like, so I run myself ragged, really.
Okay, so tell me, you mentioned sales in the construction industry, and we've had the likes of Craig Patton, etc., on here as well, who is health and safety, etc., in the construction industry. How long have you been part of that?
Construction industry, basically all my working life. I've sort of dipped out of it, but always gone back in. So I was on the tools when I was younger.
What were you?
I used to do air conditioning, so duct work, like the spiral, and then containment and stuff like that. So putting stuff up in the air to run your cables or air across it, all stuff like that. And then I sort of went from that into sales because we had a big job. We had a big job, and it fell through, and our company took on loads of people, and it was self-employed at the time. And then one of the guys that we used to provide us with all the Unistrut stud and all our materials said, I know it's hard out there at the moment. Do you want to come and try sales? So I've done sales for a bit in that, and then moved away from construction for a couple of years into the umbrella payment world. So people working for agencies can choose to be self-employed, employed, or go for an umbrella. So I did that for a little while, but that's a really sort of a young person's game. It was taking people out. You can imagine in recruitment, taking them out for drinks in the morning, afternoon, and evenings. And then got back into construction again. Sort of the last 8 years, I've been back in construction, 9 years.
Okay, so just on that, the construction industry, has it changed a lot from the first time you entered into it?
Oh, massively, but not as well. So with regards to, I go on sites now, they're completely tidy. There's very little dust. There's more awareness around making people okay on site and trying to be better at health and safety. But then there's also the same, do this safely, do that safely. But if we're rushed, we'll scrap them rules to try and get something done quickly, sort of thing. And it does seem some things have changed, but not everything. I think where we go on to jobs and obviously do the equipment, sometimes they're hiring the best practice, best equipment, best safety equipment. And then when it gets nearer the job, the rules lax a little bit. They say, well, we've got to get it done. We need to just do this. And people still put themselves in danger, or still people still taking risks, even when they've got the best safety equipment. You go around. I mean, we deal with a thing called an eco lift, which is like a caged machine. You wind yourself up, you do your work, and you wind yourself back down. Now, people stand on these bars on the side, on the top, on the trays, and you just think, what are you doing? It's every day. It's not just a rare occurrence.
Well, I think when I was talking previously to people in the construction industry, I do know that, and we're on the Hurt Locker, two people a day die by suicide in the construction industry.
Yeah, it's a horrible fact, and it is still very much. There's more women on site and stuff like that, but it's still very much a man's world, and very macho, and very. You can see when I was an apprentice, we used to have what they call banter, but it wasn't actually banter. You can look at it now and you look back and it's bullying.
I remember banter when I was a brickie as well. Yeah.
So it's really hard, because when I was growing up, I'm not the most manly of men. I got brought up by two women, my mum and my sister. So I wasn't always into the manliest world. But I went to building sites, and there was a lot of talking about your sexuality and the lads drinking and what you're doing with this girl, what you're doing with that girl. And if you didn't have that there would be sort of ramifications against you. And then there's always these rituals, as they call them, or this is the way the world is, making you do things you don't want to do because it's part of how you learn. So like I say, I've had times where people have masticked your hard hat, and you put your hard hat on, it's stuck to your head, and it's just horrible stuff like that. You think, why would you put someone through that? It's just, but it's always just been the way it is, and I think it still happens today, from what I hear.
How did you cope?
Laughing it off and burying it, like most people. Yeah. Okay. So I used to laugh it off and think, okay, this is the world. I mean, I've got to adapt to it. So I tried to put on like a bit of a more of a manly persona. Tried to sort of laugh it off and joke about it. and try and sort of change who I was. Bit people pleasing, really, just to try and fit in, so it wasn't as bad for me. But as we know, that never helps anybody long term. It's, I'd say, it was hard and it was an experience, but I dread to think any of my kids going on site and having that done to them. It'll be horrible. I wouldn't want that for anybody else.
I think for me, my experience, aside from the racism that I did experience, I think my experience, I wouldn't have tolerated it. I think I would have ended up fighting a lot.
Yeah.
If I hadn't set my stall out at the very beginning, especially as an apprentice, looking back now, because you have to walk the gauntlet, as they say.
Yeah. And because I'm not that kind of guy. I mean, I've never had a fight. I'm not a fighter at all. It's very hard for me to stand up to men in particular. I find it quite intimidating being around. Well, I used to find it quite intimidating about being around men. And so I would always sort of cower and just sort of go into what they wanted me to do, really.
I would, the fact that you said you've never had a fight, I would have loved that. Seriously.
Yeah.
I would have just loved that. And I suppose with experience now and age, there's better ways to resolve things than using your fists. But that took me time to realise that.
Yeah. And it's really silly because I see people, obviously I went in the pubs and saw lots of fights happen and people get aggressive and kick off and stuff. But it was always in my head. I don't know why, but I thought the one time I raise my fist or hit someone or something like that, they're going to fall over and they're going to die. And it'll be one of those stories where you had one punch and you killed someone by mistake, sort of thing. And it's always been in the back of my head, always.
It's funny, you said you were raised by two women, is that correct?
Yeah, mum and sister, yeah. From the age of 4, really.
Tell me about growing up. What was the experience of that?
As I said before, like with Christmas, my dad came home on Christmas Eve when I was 4, I think it was, and said he didn't love my mum anymore and he was going off with another woman. I saw my dad till I was 7 and then sort of no contact at all. So I think my mum was very young. She was only 21 at the time, I believe, when she had me. So she must have been only 25. So she's still, as you can imagine, when you look back at 25, you don't know nothing, do you? So she was trying to raise me and my daughter, who was younger, my sister, who was younger, all on our own. Luckily, we did have I had 3 aunties and 4 uncles and a nan and granddad. So they were the sort of the support mechanism. But I think my mum found it really, really difficult, especially with a boy. And I was missing my dad. And I think from what I remember, I suffered quite badly with stomach pains and stuff like that, which looking back now is obviously anxiety or depression, even from a young age.
Yeah.
So it was quite traumatic, which I never really dealt with, never really sort of recovered from. And then after sort of going through school, being a single parent, it wasn't like it is now. I think there was only 4 or 5 of us at my junior school, senior school, that were single parents. You had single parent tickets, which made you stood out even more. I was only about 3 foot tall, ginger hair, and you can imagine it standing like a sore thumb sort of thing at school. So there was a lot of bullying and sort of mimicking, but I got a sense of humour and sort of took the mick out of myself before they could, and then get the laugh. And they tended to leave me alone violently wise, although the conversations were obviously Ginger about your dad and stuff like that. So I mean, I know people have it a lot worse, but it was sort of my sort of trauma, if you will, and I've always had that anxiety.
Don't diminish your experience, because it's important. It's unique to you.
Yeah, and it was unique. And like I said, there wasn't really many people at school you could talk to about it. There wasn't really a support around anything like that at school for me, my sister, or my mum, really. So you just sort of got on with it and spent time with your uncles. They used to take me to football, West Ham a lot, try to sort of get me to do that at weekends because that's what obviously boys like. So I used to love that. And then my uncles used to come and help me run the football teams and stuff like that. So I had real good uncles around me, which really, really helped. But it was always the same sort of you want your dad, don't you? And I've always sort of pined for my dad. And then I went looking for him when I was about 16, I think it was. I heard that he was doing some sort of DJing in a pub. So at 16, I said to two of my friends, can we go to this pub? I think my dad's in there. Went in there and struck up a relationship with him from there for about, I don't know, about 15 years, because we haven't spoke again for quite some time now. But that was more my choice because it wasn't healthy for me at all.
Why was that?
Again, being a sort of kind of a people pleaser and wanting my dad to be around, he was a big drinker. So everything he did was involve alcohol. So any time, like even if we went to cinema, it'd be alcohol. He missed out on he wouldn't go to parties and stuff and not have a drink. He'd always have a drink or a pre-drink and after drink. So I sort of got into that mode and was drinking far too much. I don't drink at all now, and I look back and think, I wasn't happy doing it, but I thought I was at the time, and it was quite heavy drinking as well. So it's sort of the relationship I had with my dad was more friendly, like a mate relationship on his side. I would have thought that's how it sort of come across. For me, I was trying to get my dad back, but it wasn't a father-son relationship in any shape or form. And then as I started getting a bit older and sort of my life was settling down a little bit, I realised that was the case, and I sort of started to step away and get on with my life and stuff like that. And he just didn't follow. So it wasn't like he was.
Was that easy? Was that easy to step away?
It wasn't. And then, like I say, my life was going in a better direction once I started doing that. So it wasn't easy, but it's something I needed to do, and I had the sort of clarity to do it. And it still hurts now that he doesn't call. He doesn't wonder what happened, why I don't see him anymore. He doesn't contact me and say, look, can we build this bridge? What's gone on? So it does really hurt. And it's been a thing in my head and my past for forever, really, that sort of lingering cloud.
You mentioned before about there was no support for you. There was no support for your sister or your mum when you were in school and all that. And it just reminded me of me. I can still remember going round to my mate's house, and I'm showing my age now, when Princess Di got married and all of that. And that's showing me age. And I remember seeing my mate's mum and dad together. And it just struck me as, wow, I don't see this, because even though my stepmom and my dad weren't married as such, he didn't live in this country. And so it was just weird being reared by somebody who biologically wasn't my blood, even though I did have sisters and all of that. But it just took me to there. But you said you noticed that there was no help for you and all that. Was that difficult in school then?
Yeah, like you say, I know that sort of my wife works in schools and stuff now, so there is more mental health around children, support networks for single parents, and it's not more fashionable to be a single parent, but there's a lot more single parents out there. So there's more kids you can talk to about it, and there's more of like people say, if you can see it, you can become it. There was very little single parents in my time around. So I stood out a little bit. And when you go to football and all the dads are there and your dad's not, and sporting events and stuff like that, it becomes crystal clear that you are a little bit different and it's not the same as everybody else. So
how did that feel for you?
Like I say, I've always had the issue of sort of feeling lonely and deserted. And it was always sort of, why did he leave me, not my mum or my sister? Why did he leave me? What did I do wrong? And I still feel a little bit like that today. And I talked to my wife about it, and she said that you tried, you did everything you could. It's not your fault. It's not yours to cross to bear. He's missed out on your life now. But it's still the case of, because I've got children, you think I would never not see my children. It just would not occur to me. So it blows my mind, and I'll never understand it, how that could happen.
Is there a part of you that wants to reach out to him? To lay you
Yeah, I think
cards on the table and just say, this is how you've impacted me.
There'll always be that on me. There'll always be that. And when I did do it before, it was always over a drink, a very drunken conversation, and never really sort of took seriously. But there is a part of me now, but then there's also a part of me thinking it wouldn't do any good. There'd be no answers, because I know some of the stories he used to tell me just aren't true of why he did these things and why they happened. So I don't think I'd ever get the truth from him anyway, even if I said, look, this is how my life's been impacted by you. These are the troubles I've had all my life because of that incident when I was younger. I just don't think it would resonate.
Did he ever tell you he loved you?
Not properly. Again, it was a drunken, when we got back together, he was a big Elvis fan. And he always used to say, always on my mind, used to come on. I used to get really upset because I've always thought, you're always on my mind. You're always this, you're always that. I always wanted to get back to you and all this kind of stuff. And it was made hard. And he used to say my mum didn't make it easy for him and stuff like that. But then when I was back with him, he would do it over a drunkenly way or a friendly way or a Mickey taking way kind of thing. But I'd never felt the proper love that I think I portray to my children.
Tell me the difference. What do you portray to your children?
That they've got someone there that's going to be there for life, that my life is not as important as theirs, that no matter what they say, no matter what they do, I'll be there for them. No matter what situation they get them in, they've got me to help. They've always got me there to support. Sometimes I'm a bit over fatherly and try and solve issues for them that aren't coming up. So with regards to sort of bullying, and I know how the world is, I try and protect my children from that. But again, you've got to let them do their own thing as well, haven't you? So you've got to sort of let them get their scrapes and bumps and stuff along the way. But I am a little bit overprotective. And because I'm not, one of the worst things was when I had my son who lives up in Leeds, well, I'm not with his mum anymore. So that was obviously heartbreaking for me. She left me. And that was me then becoming my dad, becoming a Saturday dad. And it was devastating for me because I didn't want to, no matter what, I would never have put myself in that situation. Are
you close to your son?
Yes, very. We're best friends. But he also knows sort of I'm his dad, and he suffers from panic attacks. So he'll call me, like the other day he had one, he'd call me up at 2:00 in the morning, knows I'll pick up the phone. We talked through it for 20 minutes. It calmed him down. He went back to bed. So that's the sort of thing you want, sort of thing. It's not, if it's the way my dad, when I had a relationship with, the way I had it was, if I had something terrible happen to me, like when I split up with my son's mum, it was all jokes. It was never really serious. It was never really comforting. It was all jokes. Laugh about it. You feel better, but you don't need that. You have that from your friends, your mates. You don't want that from a parent. You want support. You want to be able to cry if you need to cry, get it out. But it wasn't that kind of relationship.
I'm pausing now because I'm just thinking that's crap.
Yeah.
It's really, really crap.
Yeah. And like I say, I've always tried to underplay it, but I've recently been going through some counselling. It's made sort of things clearer because I've always put myself in that situation saying, maybe I should have been better. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe, and they're like, no, this happened to you. You were the child. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And even now I'm still the child, even though I'm 46 years old, I'm still the child in the relationship. So it shouldn't always have to be up to me to repair it. It's a parent's 100%. Job as well. Yeah.
100%, you know.
So I am starting to see things clearer again. Like I say, through the counselling, it just puts some things in perspective because I've always beat myself up on things like this. Maybe I should have done more.
Can I ask on that? Because I was going to ask you if you'd taken therapy, gone to counselling. Was there initial resistance at the beginning?
I've tried it so many times. I must have tried it 10 times, had about 2 or 3 sessions and just thought it's not for me. The sort of the way it was coming across is you've got like 5 or 6 sessions and then you're done. So I was trying to be quite open, thinking I'm going to be done in 5 sessions. What good's this to me, sort of thing. So I've always been sort of scared of opening up and having that wound opened and then having no support there. Whereas this one here is a local initiative, and they've got counsellors there. And I went there and they said, we're here as long as you need us. There is a certain amount of time when we would, if anything doesn't happen, then we'd maybe look at a different way of doing things. But because of that, I took time. They made me talk about things in a different way. They slowed me down. They said, and then when I said stuff, like you said earlier, hold on, don't say that. They would they'd pick up stuff. Why is that? Why has that hurt you? Why has your voice changed to that? Or why have you sat differently? And it was quite eye-opening.
It brings a certain amount of awareness to yourself.
Massively.
And I'm seeing you smiling now. Whereabouts in the country are you?
I'm Grays in Essex.
Okay, Grays in Essex. Okay. And what's the initiative there?
I can't remember what it's called now, but I can't remember what it's called. I've literally just had my last session, but it's above the doctors, and the doctor said, look, because I went to the doctors and I'm on antidepressants anyway. And I thought I was getting a little bit, like just recently, last 6 months or so, I've really been struggling with stuff. So I've upped my tablets a little bit each time. They've gone to a point now where they're at a limit. So they asked me to go to this place. So I went there. It was quite a quick turnaround. And then I met my counsellor. And like I say, I think it was 15 sessions. I think I had in the end. So it's quite a lot, but there's a few gaps in there with holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I also did one of the bravest things I ever did. I told my boss and said, I need time off work. My mental health is gone. And my boss was really understanding. So that helped.
Tell me about that conversation.
My boss is a really good friend of mine. I've worked with him for 5 years. And we're sort of the same age. We know the same humour. We know the same joke, the same TV programmes, etc. So we get on really, really well. But then he got promoted to be my boss, which I've loved because he's a really good boss and a sort of a leader rather than a boss kind of thing. One of the cliches. So he's very, very good at what he does.
What's his name?
Derek Whittaker.
Derek Whittaker. Shout out to Derek Whittaker. Okay.
He's really, really good. And he's like one of the best bosses friends I've ever had, which is obviously what you need in life, isn't it? So, and although we're the same age, a little bit of a mentor as well, which is, I always find that funny that you're the same age and you look up to people at the same age. That's always blown my mind because I tend to look up to people no matter what age they are. Even if some people's younger, I think, oh, they're just doing great in life and stuff like that. And it's not always the case, but you sort of look up to people. Yeah. So Derek, I met Derek for a coffee. We were just about to go to a joint meeting, and I said to him after the meeting, can we have a chat? It's a personal chat, not a work chat. He said, well, we've got some time now. Is there enough time for it? I said, yeah. And we started having a chat. I was getting upset. He got a little bit upset, which if you knew Derek, that doesn't happen. It's quite hard on the outside. We got a little bit upset. He just sort of told me off for being silly and holding it in for so long. I should have come to him earlier. And I said, but I was really nervous about it, like the repercussions of it, of what they might think of me. And I've done my job for 5 years and it's never really impacted me. So I worry that they think, oh, look, Ben's now mentally unwell. He might not be able to do his job properly or stuff like that. So I was worrying about all these silly things that I didn't need to worry about. So he sort of said, I can't believe you were frightened to talk to me. I'm not just your boss. I'm a friend of you and I care about you. The job will get done no matter what, and the job will be here or not. It doesn't matter. You need to get better. So we had a chat. We went to the meeting, and then he said to me, look, after this, you're going home. We had a hug, and he said he was getting quite emotional, which was like nice. So we said sort of things, and he was checking in the whole time. But I had about, I think it was 19 days in total off, which I've never, ever done ever throughout my life. No matter when I've needed it, I've always gone to work. I've never really missed work through mental health.
He held that space for you, didn't he? He made it
really well. Really, really well, because it's quite difficult. I mean, I'm quite an empathetic person and people tend to talk to me and open up to me about stuff. I've just got one of them personas that even the butchers of men will come up to me and say, Ben, is it all right if we have a chat? And I'll listen. And it's one of those things. People just feel okay to talk to me, which is really, really nice. But he handled it perfectly. He didn't ask silly questions. He didn't try to put me down in any way. He didn't try to solved the issue. He listened. He said the right things. And it's quite difficult if someone comes to you with that to know what to say and how to handle it. But he did it perfectly.
But I'm smiling because you say you're an empathetic person and that people gravitate towards you and want to talk to you in the QT on down low, as it were.
Yeah.
And yet you didn't see that quality in him.
Yeah, I know.
For him to be supporting you.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, I sort of, it's weird because I knew if I talked to him, he'd be okay. But because it was, I need time off and it was impacting the work and stuff like that, he was like, work, don't worry about work. Let's have a conversation about you kind of thing. Work is not important at this time. You've worked here for 5 years. You're highly regarded. You're one of the top performers. Don't worry about work. It's not, work isn't your issue here. It's you, it's the issue. What do we need to do to get you better? And that kind of words he was saying, I was just thought, this is incredible, really, because I don't think he's ever had to deal with a man saying that to him.
Can I ask, you had your uncles and all that, and you're saying the area you live, and I'm thinking, yeah, Graves, Essex, macho man, this, that, and the other. Did you feel, was there a little bit of your apprehension about not coming forward to speak emotionally? Had you grown up? I mean, I know the construction industry is very much about banter and whatever you want to call it, and you've got to put that hard exterior on. But
yeah,
did you find it?
Well, I've lived here. I've lived here, I don't know, about 12 years now, but I was from a place called Wellingon City.
Okay.
So that's where I sort of grew up, and that's where sort of all my uncles and stuff are. But even when I talk about things, and because I've been talking to my counsellor, but it doesn't cover everything. And then when I've just talked to you now, I'm thinking of different things. We used to go to football in the back of a van, go with West Ham away, like home and away. And West Ham, imagine that, the ICF and all that kind of stuff.
ICF, yeah, Intercity Firm and all of that malarkey.
Yeah,
yes,
and I know that some of the people we went with were part of that movement, and their kids were rough, tough, and stuff like that. But it was never sort of me at all. I was never that, and I got as much as I enjoyed going to football, I was never wanting to take that next step into screaming and shouting and getting into the violent situations. I like to go and then come home again. And my uncles, who were younger than my mum, especially one, he must have been 20, maybe even younger than that. And he was taking me Saturdays home and away to football. And he was just trying to live, I think now when I was 20, to have that 7-year-old boy with you to go and they wanted to drink and stuff like that. But they always looked after me, make sure I got home okay. And I never noticed my uncle in any of them situations where I know that he probably wanted to be. So they were amazing like that. But again, it was sort of as I got a bit older, sort of I moved away and tried to find my own way, really. And sort of you get a couple of friends here and there, and you sort of build your own life, don't you? And he had a family then, and it made it more difficult and stuff like that, really. But yeah, it was. I've always struggled with being a macho, sort of being in pubs most of my life, drinking and stuff like that. It's always macho. But I've put such a wall up around it. It's only recently that I've sort of becoming happier in my skin, and that's my skin, not the skin I put on for people over the years.
You spoke earlier about your dad and him leaving Christmas Eve, age 4 and that. But you also spoke about losing a friend. A friend died.
Yeah. When I was 20, I started playing for a new football team, and his birthday was in December, and he turned 18, and he died just after Christmas that year. So he died when he was 18. He was around his girlfriend's house, and he got up in the middle of the night and called out his girlfriend's name and ended up going down the stairs for whatever reason. His girlfriend's mum and dad tried to keep him alive, but apparently what the doctor said, he was sort of dead before he hit the floor. There was no conclusion of why it happened. It just happened. And it was just a major, major shock at the time. And really, really horrible to sort of be around that at that age. We had our football team and stuff there, so there was a lot of lads doing it. But again, it was lads. We were trying to comfort each other, but not really knowing how to do it. So again, it just involved drinking more and more, really, which has been the story of my life, really.
How did that impact you?
Massively, because I was one of the oldest ones in the group. So out of all the lads that used to go out, I was one of the oldest. So I joined the football team, and most of them were 2 years or a year below me at school. Although I'm a July baby, so I'm quite young for my group, it's close. Yeah. I was still one of the oldest. So I tried to take on that empathetic, I'm here for everybody role, and tried to make sure everyone was better. So Trevor's girlfriend, Jo, she obviously just lost her boyfriend, saw it all happen at her house, and I just couldn't bear the thought of that. So I started to engage with her and her sister Vicky, bring them out of us lads and trying to make her feel better and feel part of it and stuff like that. But it involved, like I say, going out a lot of drinking. And then I wasn't really dealing with my pain at the time at all in any sort of way. I never really dealt with the trauma of it. I was good friends with Trevor's mum and dad. I actually moved in with them for a little while, which looking back now was probably a terrible idea because I was around it constant, watching their pain and trying to be strong for them. Trying to talk to Trevor's dad at night times when I saw he was devastated. And then like trying to look after Jo and Vicky. And I tried to be this big man and grow up really quickly. I remember saying to some of the parents when we had parties and stuff, oh, I'll look after these, I'll make sure they're okay. Whereas I was struggling myself sort of thing. And I remember going out after work, working nights once, and I finished about 11, 12 o'clock. And I met my friends at a club and I was like, how many drinks you had? And they were like, oh, we must be 6 pints in. So I've sort of got that amount of drinks and chased them down and said, right, now we're even, we can have this sort of night. But no one at the time was like, Ben, what is going on here? What you're drinking? This is not right behaviour.
Yeah. Can I just clarify Trevor's death? It was an accident.
Yeah, just something happened to his body. It just gave up. And I think his heart stopped. But when they did the post-mortem stuff, there was no real determination. He just died. And it was, like I say, it was terrible. We had the funeral and it was awful. And it took a long time to sort of get everybody. I mean, I've drifted away from quite a few of the people now, but I still talk to Jo and Vicky. They're two of my closest friends, which was his girlfriend and his sister-in-law and their family, which I love them and always be a part of it. They sort of, when we say about Christmas, I don't know if ironic's the right word, but I was spending Christmas on my own and Trevor and Jo said, come round Jo's mum and dad's house with all the family. So I went round their house for Christmas. They all made me feel massively welcome. It's just like, I'm just Trevor's friend sort of thing. Made me all feel massively welcome. I had a massively brilliant Christmas. It was lovely. And then, like I say, he died not long after. So you think, another Christmas when I just started to enjoy it, this happens.
Yeah.
So it was a horrible time.
And it was for me, you took the words out of my mouth because I was going to ask, who was there for you?
At the time, I thought as a group we were there, but there was no one really, like no real adult or sort of a grown-up person to sort of put my arm around you and say, come here and give me a cuddle sort of thing. It was never really that way. And it just sort of, you just kind of get on with life and eventually the pain eases and you move on a little bit and stuff like that. And like I say, the parents of Trevor, they split up and went their own way. And some of my friends went one way and some of us went the other. I met my son's mum at the time. So then I had that relationship wasn't the best all the way through, but then obviously we were together. So I sort of moved away because I didn't want to be in the drinking world anyway. And as soon as I used to get a girlfriend, all my friends used to go, when you get a girlfriend, you move away. But I was trying to escape more than anything else, I think. So when I had a girlfriend, I had a reason not to go to the pub, not to go and get out my head.
Absolutely. Do you think us guys find it difficult to talk about how we feel?
Oh, massively. Absolutely. And I'm quite open and I'm quite a talker and people always say sort of feminine or camp is what they describe me as. And I've always been quite open about my emotions and feelings, but not to a point where I can talk properly, completely, and sort of put everything out. But because I talk about it, people, like say, gravitate towards me, and we might have chats and stuff like that. But even me, I hold stuff back. I don't tell people the whole story. I say certain things, but I know friends of mine, people I work with now, people I've worked with in the past, just will not talk about stuff. No matter how much you sort of make it easy for them, they just will not talk about it properly.
When you spoke about taking time off, the 19 days off from work, etc., you struggling with your mental health. Did you contemplate suicide?
No, it was. I don't think I've thought about it through the years, but never contemplated it to a point where it's actually happened, or I thought this might be the point. I've always sort of, my wife, she's amazing. She always says to me, I'm one of the strongest people she knows. And I'm like, how can that be? But she says, you don't give up, you keep going, you go to work every day, you power through no matter what goes on, you sort of you deal with it, you get on with it. And the counsellors, obviously, I've just had now, is like, you need to let go of some of this, Ben. It's a lot in there, kind of thing.
I couldn't agree more. So I couldn't agree more. So
I'm very good at burying. Although I'm quite open, I'm still very good at burying the hard truths. But obviously, being in construction and stuff like that, I've spoke to so many men. I've been to sort of men's groups as well, and you see the pain that people are in, but they just can't. They don't know how to speak about it. They don't know how to talk about it. And then again, I think men especially, are just so. It's not scared. They're just unable to talk about it because it's been beat into them for so many years that you don't talk about it. So they find it difficult to even how to bring it up, who to talk to, who to go to, anything like that, I think.
What's your hard truths? What's in your hurt locker? I know your dad is one. Dad is another.
Feeling alone. I felt, although I've had always friends, and I used to joke when I was little, I used to love having so many friends and so many people around me. I was always like the life and soul of the party, always cracking the jokes and stuff like that. And I always said to people, if I have a funeral, I want it packed to the rafters. I want people spilling out the door and all that kind of stuff. But I've always been so lonely in that world because
I've got an image of you. You can be in a party. There's 200 people in that party, and yet you feel alone.
Yeah. And it's something I've just started to realise how lonely I feel around. So I've got a couple of friends now, but not many. But I always used to have loads, and I always put so much emphasis on having so many friends, where I look back now and you think, were half of them friends? Probably not. With half of them, and you think, oh, I've spent all this time on people, and that's why I tend to drift away from people. I think I've always had groups of friends, but drifted away slowly, and they've carried on doing what they've got to do because I wasn't meant to be there anyway. I see that now.
Absolutely.
But at the time, I was thinking, oh my God, like, this is amazing. I've got all these people. I can phone up someone and go for a beer whenever I want. There's so many people around me. If I go to a pub, I know everyone. But like I say, when I'm walking home.
Here's the flip side. Who phones you?
Yeah. And that's the thing. No one does. There's a few people that text in to make sure I'm okay and stuff. But even, like I say, throughout my life, it's been very, very little. Very little.
That's hard.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, I find that difficult because, like I say, I've tried to be a good friend to a lot of people, and I've tried to support a lot of people, and I always give people my all as a friendship. It's the same with relationships. If I get in a relationship with a girl, I'm all or nothing straight away. I'm not like, we're going out a week. If I'm going out with someone a week, in my head, that's it. You're with someone for a reason. That could potentially be like your life partner. So I always give everything to everyone. But I have started to sort of learn that it's not really the case.
Do you try too hard?
Yes, massively. Always, especially with women, like relationships and stuff, because I didn't want to be single. When I was younger, I think about 13, 14, people used to say, what do you want to be? And I used to say a father of three. So I always wanted a family of my own that I could protect, that no one could take away from me. But life happens. And like I say, I had a son with an ex-partner that split up. So then I can control that situation. It happened anyway. Matt, yes. I would have done anything to keep it solid, but it wasn't obviously we know now that it wasn't a healthy relationship for either of us, and we both done better separately, and I can see that now, and I'm much easier with it. But at the time I thought, what's happened? This is my worst nightmare come true. I don't want to be my dad, and now I've turned into a Saturday dad, which I never wanted to be.
You must have been devastated then at the time.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the only times I phoned up I remember phoning up Samaritans, crying my eyes out, not, when the proper cry where you can't talk properly, and saying, I don't know how I can do this. I don't know how I can manage this situation. I think that was one of the toughest times there's ever been. And the person on the phone calmed me down a little bit. And then I sort of fell asleep or went to sleep. And then I woke up and I was having my son sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if I didn't have that, I don't know where I would have been, sort of thing. Like if they've gone somewhere different or moved away, so I couldn't see them. Luckily, they were just around the corner, so I could see them and had like unlimited access, really. But I don't know how I would have coped otherwise. Are you
wrong?
Am I wrong?
No. Are you on good speaking terms with your son's mum?
When we see each other, it's fine. We don't really see each other much anymore. Like I say, I've moved away. So when the last time I saw her, we was at my son's graduation.
Okay.
And it was fine. Her partner was there that she's been with since, and I've got obviously a wife now and stuff like that. So there's no animosity to me. It's one of those things that happened. It was horrible at the time, and it was horrible for a long time because I didn't know why she left, what reasons for left. If it's hard to work it kind of thing, I wouldn't have given up. But like I say, it worked out for the best in the end. Because when you look back now, you think, we're not suited now. Yeah. We were maybe but now we've got two completely different lives.
What did he say? Hindsight is a smug bugger.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
definitely. You say your son's your best friend, and what makes that so?
Well, we're sort of on this. No matter what happens, this is what is. No matter what happens, no matter what we talk about, they've got their own life now, and they've got very strong opinions about how the world should work. And sometimes we fall out and we have a debate and stuff like that. But no matter what happens, we'll phone each other 10 minutes later, and there's no issue whatsoever. We have a very similar sense of humour. We get on, like I say, fantastically. So it is having a best friend where I don't have to impress. I don't have to be a silly person or center of attention. I can just be who I am. And sometimes I speak to them when I'm down. I've always had a bit of guilt because I did suffer really badly when it first happened, that I was quite depressed, but not realizing how bad I was whilst my son was young. And I think they probably saw me in a state that I wasn't the best me ever. But I've worked hard to sort of try and repair that and sort of say sorry. And they've turned out fine. And they've turned out they've just done a 3-year music course for songwriting, past that.
Okay.
And now they're doing another year to become a music teacher, which they really want to do. So they're doing well. They're sort of thriving where they are up in Leeds, which is amazing. So you sort of look back and you think, I may have made mistakes, but I've done a decent job at the end of the day because they are okay.
Absolutely. Can I just go back to the therapy, the counselling? What 3 things, now that you're finished, would you say have you learned about yourself through this round of counselling?
Yeah, one of the big things was that I suppressed a lot more than I thought. I thought I was okay with a lot of stuff until I started talking about it, and it's stuff that I didn't even want to talk about. So I went in there for one reason: I'm depressed, I'm down. What can I do to help this and get the situation? Maybe I had some daddy issues and stuff like that. But then we were talking about stuff. So one of them was what I had deep inside that I'd never even talk about. They've made me talk about stuff that I didn't want to talk about and bring it out with me without me knowing. And then again, one of the big things is I sort of said this on the last day that I feel freer and I feel stronger from it. So I've never really believed I'm strong. I've never really believed that because I've been told you're quite camp, you're you're very feminine and all this kind of stuff, but I am incredibly strong. And I never really thought I was. But when you talk about things and going things like I am with you now, you think I have been through a lot. And like I say, I do undermine it sometimes, saying it's not really a lot. There's people out there a lot worse than me, but it was my childhood. I was only four till 7. I didn't know what was traumatic or not, and it was my trauma. So I've realised I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Absolutely. I just want to pick out something. I'm not going down the route of hip hop and that, but you know Tupac?
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur. He had tattooed on his stomach, Thug Life.
Yeah.
And people used to misinterpret what that really meant. But the meaning was, the hate you give little infants fucks everybody.
Yeah.
And it's that generational trauma that permeates.
Yeah.
From such a tender age.
It is. And you see a lot. I mean, we did a gig the other day, comedy gig, and one of the guys who was in the crowd come up afterwards after it all finished and I packed away, and he goes, I've never really noticed this before, but it's the first live comedy I've ever seen. You comedians have got a lot of childhood trauma, haven't you? Because it sort of comes out in your humour, doesn't it? You use it as like jokes that you sort of think, oh, that was quite funny and stuff. So you cover up with humour and stuff like that. But when he said that, I thought, my God, you're right. And we try and get rid of this trauma through comedy and expressing ourselves. So I think I've learned a lot through talking about being on stage and stuff as well now. Sort of talking about stuff, it brings up stuff from your past because you think, oh, I'll write that down. So it's just like I say, over the last 6 months or so, I've been getting a lot clearer and a lot more clarity about me and my life and who I am and who I want to be, where I want to go, that kind of thing.
Do you like you?
I would probably have said not long ago, probably not. But I am starting to like myself with the aim of loving myself.
On a score then, from 0 to 10, 10 being 100%, I love me, where would you score yourself now?
6, 7.
6, 7. And what would need to change or improve to get to a 8, 9?
There's still things I'm working on that I want to make sure that I'm strong with. So there's still times I sort of go distant or I sort of hide away a little bit and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm short-tempered and stuff like that because I've had a bad day or stuff like that. I don't want to be that person. It's not major, but it's just little tweaks now rather than a big gap, which was a year ago. Like I say, I've stopped going to the pub and drinking. So I'm teetotal now. I have been for quite some time. And I feel really proud that I've done that. I'm a lot calmer. I'm more confident in work. So it's just little tweaks now to get it up there, really.
Do you walk with the head up high?
Funny enough, where was I the other day? I was walking down West Ham train station. Normally I walk through there and everyone's hustle bustle because it's a really busy station. And for the first time, I think this was only Monday or Tuesday last week, I actually held my head up and was looking around at the roof, what was above and stuff like that. So saying that, I actually noticed it for the first time as well. I was like, yeah, my head is high here. I'm okay, sort of chest out, and which it was a weird moment, I must admit.
Tell us a little bit about the Ginger Giggle Club.
I mean, this has been a revelation just on the back of mental health and stuff like that. So I did a comedy course for charity for Andy's Man Club back in October last year.
Okay.
And you do 8 weeks training, and then you do a performance at the Backyard Comedy Club, which is a famous club in London. You get 5 minutes and there's 300 people, friends and family. You do your thing. So I did that. And then I was trying to do the circuit a little bit in London, trying to do my 5 minutes perfected, thinking there's a chance I'm going to be a comedian, which I've always wanted to sort of be. And then my local pub asked me if I'd put on a comedy show. And I said, okay, I've got some guys I did the course with. We can come down and do it, see how it went. It went really, really well. And a couple of other people heard about it. So then another pub asked us. And then I got a bit more confident. So I went to another pub and said, would you think of this? And they said, yes. So it sort of grew and grew, and it's becoming, I think we've got 7 or 8 venues that we do quite regular now within the year. But what is the most amazing, incredible thing about it is we've had so many comedians who are first-time comedians. So we had one the other day, one of the guys done his first ever show with me. His wife come up to me and said, you've changed his life. He was sitting indoors all day. He would smoke weed. He wouldn't go out. Now he's coming to all your shows. He's got a few comedy friends. He's going to do shows everywhere else. It's changed him completely. Boss. And then there's another guy that's quite a local sort of legend around the pub world here. And he said, can I have a go? I've always wanted to have a go. So I did. And his second performance, once he'd finished, I was packing up and his brother come over and said, I'm really protective of my brother. And he said, I want to thank you. You're a legend of men because my brother has now got a purpose in life. Thank you for that. You've given him a purpose. And it's that, and that's what the community we're trying to build now is going right into that. It's a safe space for comedians to come and try their stuff in a safe place. We all bomb, we all get it wrong, we all say different things, and sometimes it's not funny, but we've got such a lovely community now. And we always say to people once they perform, welcome to the Giggle family, and you're sort of part of our family now. And we are going down that route of that. And on the back of that, I've managed really, I don't know how I managed it, but I got into a mental health hospital and I've done 2 bingo sessions for a mental health hospital, which was absolutely incredible seeing these people. And what shocked me the most was it was over 65s award, which just blew my mind. So I'm so happy, and they've all really enjoyed it. And even the lady that runs that, she said to me after the last one, there's people that have joined in with you today that don't do anything. They don't socialize. They just sit there. They do what they want to do. But they've all joined in with the bingo this time. So you must be doing something right. And that sort of thing just warms my heart and makes me so emotional.
So where can people see you next or see?
We've got 2 Christmas specials coming up. So there's one at the Dog and Partridge in North Stifford, which is Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And then our last show of the year is at the Ball in Grays, which again is a Christmas special, but we're all around Essex. We've just got a website done and stuff like that now. So we're sort of spreading out. We've got shows coming up in Brentwood, Chelmsford and stuff like that in the new year. So we're just reaching a wider audience and wider range of comedians, hopefully.
Brilliant. So you've got a choice. Stay in construction and sales or do the Ginger Giggle Club. What would you go for?
Yeah, well, the plan is, like me and my wife are talking about it, how can we get so it's a job, a full-time job, so we can do it properly and set it up and do all the things we've wanted to do. We'd love a venue where we have comedy and stuff in the evenings, but my wife's very creative and stuff, and she's doing a therapy course in the new year. So we'd love a hub where people can go and have a chat in the day, and then so people have got a safe space. And then in the evening, it turns into a friendly comedy club. So we've always wanted that kind of thing, and it's just starting to come to fruition now, really.
Excellent. I know you mentioned your wife saying you're strong, and we were looking at that differently. And then you started to realize your own strength, as it were. But there was something that you spoke about, the importance of your son to you. But in all the people in your life, who's the most important person in your life? And you can only pick one person.
Yeah, I've always said my son, but I've always joked that you've got to look after number one, otherwise you can't give anything to anybody. And I've sort of joked about it, but I've always had that in the back of my mind. I have to be me, and I have to be right to be able to give anybody a perfect relationship. So I do think the most important person is yourself.
Do you embrace that fully?
I'm starting to. And I'm starting to make decisions that are right for me rather than what right for other people.
Excellent.
Which is like I say, if we'd had this conversation a few months ago, it'd been completely different. So I am trying to do things and put myself in positions where I need to be around the people I want to be around and not forcing myself to do things I don't really want to do. So yeah, I am getting stronger, and I am making the correct decisions for my life now.
Long may that continue.
Yes. I'm going to work very hard at it.
Well, just be like water and just flow.
No, I like that. Yeah.
That's not me. That's Bruce Lee.
I like that, Bruce Lee. Well done.
You know, okay. So we're coming to the end. Have you had your tea this evening, or are you working?
I had it a little bit earlier. So yeah.
Okay. So you say to me and Tim, close the laptop, sit down with the missus, and there's a little knock at the door. You open it, and it's 12-year-old Ben. What do you say to him?
First of all, come in, it's cold.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say to him, you're stronger than you think. It's going to be okay. You'll find your place and you'll find your people. Just stay strong, but be you. Because the 12-year-olds, I think I was like very, I don't know what, I was a bit of a mess at 12, I think, looking back now. I've always been very young for my age. So at 12, I was probably very, very young. So I'd just try and comfort them, and make sure they knew it was going to be okay, and it's going to be fine. There is troubles in life, but you're stronger than you think, and you'll be all right, sort of thing. And probably give them a massive hug and get emotional myself, to be honest.
Nice one. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. Ben,
yes.
How's it been for you, being on the Hurt Locker?
I've really enjoyed it. I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing. I think it's an amazing thing that people are coming on and talking like this. These are the sort of things that are going to change the stigma, because you get all types of people on here. I've been looking sort of the back catalogue. You get some of the sort of what I would call manly men on here, and the more people that are on these sort of shows that are showing vulnerability and showing it's okay to talk, and you are okay if you actually talk, because that was my biggest fear. I am okay. My job's been fine with it and stuff like that, and they've been very supportive. The more people can get to do this, the better the world's going to be for everybody, really, for the men, the women, and then our children, really, the next generation.
100%. Ben Summers, you've been an excellent guest on the Hurt Locker. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you ever so much. It's been lovely to meet you.
Cheers. And that's a wrap, Tim.
Thank you for watching. Remember, you are not alone. If you or someone you care about is struggling with their mental health, please see the contact information in this episode's description for further support.